Hi again. Apparently I can't make a video unless it's awareness week, so happy Ace Awareness Week again, 2019. So basically on Tumblr, there's always also a fandom challenge. Ugh. When it comes to Ace Awareness Week or A-Spec Awareness Week, and I like doing those. Those are fun. Well, anyway, this year it's a fandom bingo. So it's all these different prompts, and you try to make a bingo. Sorry, I sound really Finnish occasionally. So basically, one of the prompts is why is A-Spec representation important, or why it matters, something like that. So I thought, since I've been planning on doing videos about representation for a while now, I thought I would do a video. Start by doing this. So basically I have practiced this in my head a couple of times over the past few days, but I have no idea what the structure is gonna be, so I'm just gonna talk and let's see what happens. So basically I think I want to start with basically the framework or something for this video is a quote by V. Swap. I think that's how you say her name. Anyways, she's a writer, including mainly for me, the most important. What I've read are the Villains series, and in the after the first book, Vicious, came out, someone on Twitter was like, "Oh, the main character Victor Vale seems ace to me," and then V. Swap said like, "Me too. Oh yeah, I can make it canon because I'm the writer," and she did in Vengeful, the second book, which came out last year. I read both of those books this year, and I love them. Victor Vale is, I love her, I love him. Okay. So anyway, on some kind of event, I don't know what I saw about. I saw it on Tumblr. Someone thanked her in this that like, hey, thank you for making Victor Vale ace in canon, because that's really important, because we don't really have that much representation, certainly not that's actually acknowledged by the text. Like, I mean, you can see, kinda. I'm terrible at this. Okay, now you can see. There are all my Funko Pops of canon ace characters, and like, unfortunately, the Chuck-headed one is a Riverdale version, but yeah, then not a lot. Although I love them all, even though I haven't watched any Game of Thrones or read that much. Ugh. One Piece. Like, I try, I buy the mangas. But yeah. So yeah, anyway, so there's not that much representation, so it's always important when we get some. So basically what you reply to that, at least reportedly, whatever, that it's one thing to see yourself in fiction, and it's another thing for have that fiction see you, to see you back or something like that. And I think that was very well put, because like I can see myself in fiction, just from basic aspects, like being white and living in my own culture, so I can watch people speak my language and stuff like that. But headcanons. I love headcanons, like all my faves are Demi, and you can't change my mind. But basically, I love writing headcanons and elaborating on them, and I like that. I like doing that, but it's still a very different experience to actually have that fiction actually go that, what the character you see yourself in, they actually are like you. And that's what being seen by fiction means. That's what I think it means, and I think that's that's why it's important. It's always important to have diversity in stories, simply for, well, diversity, it's boring if you just keep telling the same old story over and over again. And even a little changing just a little bit can make everything seem new. And so yeah, it's important to get to see yourself in fiction. To even if it's true headcanons, if there's no canon representation, homemade is fine. That meme or something like that. But it's also really validating to see yourself, to have people acknowledge that people like you exist and you have stories that are worth telling. And when stuff like, well, Riverdale go like, okay, your story isn't worth telling. Like, you're not interesting if you are the way you are. Because I'm both demisexual and demi-romantic, and in some ways I am, like, yeah, there's the potential to feel attraction, but sometimes it's like, do I even care? Do I even need that? And a lot of times, so I'm pretty much RAs most of the time. Anyway, so like for a show that could tell that, hey, you exist and you have interesting stories to tell about you, like they do with Todd. Yeah, like they do with Todd. Like I just BoJack Horseman season 6A dropped today, and I finished watching that right before I started making this video. So there wasn't that much about his ageness, but still it was still there and a part of him, and I just love that aspect. I love Todd, and I love being acknowledged that, like, hey, ace people have stories to tell, and I love it. And I just noticed when I did a rewatch of BoJack Horseman right now, like over the past couple of weeks, that a couple of the ace characters are actually there in the background in lots of different episodes, and so that's cool. Even though like they are like extras and distinctive extras, but still extras, and they don't really have lines or really. While we see them at work usually, because they work in Hollywood, but like still they are people who exist, and like lots of different people can be ace, and like I really appreciate that about BoJack, that like they took this like this when they are doing the Secretariat movie, there's that one camera person or whatever who has turquoise hair, and then she is there at the ace meeting, both of the ace meetings that Todd goes to, and like I think that's great. Just like seeing that, anyone can be ace or something like that. I don't know, but I find that really gratifying, and it's just great to see stuff like that.